Okay. Okay, so this should be fine. So give me a second here. I need to find a way to show Discord, but not all of Discord. Let me see how I can do this. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so yeah, I guess first thing we can go through. So yeah, most importantly, whether you are initiate, quant, pro, protege, I don't, whatever tiers they are, what should be the same across all of them is you should have access to some of these basically channels that look like that would just be titled SPX Spire QQQ. Basically, all these channels do is they give you refreshes of the index maps for the particular index throughout the day. I don't know if IWM is included in Initiate or not, but so it's either 3 or 4 tickers that will show up for everybody. Oh, I'm not screen sharing. Sorry. Sorry. 1 second. Uh, I should be able to change this. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. I wasn't sharing to people on Discord. I think the YouTube was fine. Okay. Thanks, Josh. Um, yeah. So okay. So in that case, for anyone that's initiate, you'll only be seeing SPX, Spy, and QQQ. So you should have some threads like this. I believe initiate the refresh rate is a bit lower. It might be every 5 or 10 minutes, if I remember correctly. For anybody else, these will refresh like every few seconds, like every 20 seconds, I think. And that is if you're purely using it on Discord. So again, you can open up any of these maps. And I guess one clarification here is these are all Gex maps, which you'll see down here in the bottom left corner. If you want to look at Vex maps, I will pull that up later. But essentially, Gex maps are dealer exposure on it's Gex and Vex. So Gex is gamma and Vex is Vanna. So what those calculations actually mean, I think, Google can explain better than I can, or perhaps Glitch. But but yeah, so essentially, you'll be wanting to look at these if you're day trading indexes. Yeah, so that was probably the first thing you want to know is where to find these maps. Indexes is really that's where the bulk of glitches trades are on indexes. I don't know what percentage, but I do know like that's what he trades every day. Um, and he trades it with heavier size than a lot of the individual tickers. Okay, now this should be global to initiate quant, pro, or protege. Like I said, I think the refresh rate is a bit different for initiate, but but yeah, that should be around the same. Now for anyone, I believe quant, pro, or protege, the first thing I want to go through is you're going to have this Heatseeker bot channel, which is incredibly useful. Um, and I think you'll notice when I encourage anyone who has taken a trade, whenever that hasn't worked out, or even if it has worked out, if you want to talk about it with somebody, the first thing people are going to ask for is, what was your thesis, and to be able to show your thesis, you want to be able to pull the heat map from the moment that you enter that trade, right? So I've asked a lot of people, like if you DM me one on one, that's usually what I'll ask you to do is just, send me the chart and the heat maps at that moment or, then from the night before when you developed your thesis. That just helps me see what you were seeing in the moment because these heat maps fluctuate throughout the day and throughout the week, right? So what I look at today could be very different to what it looked like on Tuesday when you took a trade on X ticker, right? Like on whatever it may be. So this channel is super important because it helps you backtest and just helps you look at setups. Maybe there's a setup you missed and you want to see, if you check those maps, would you have seen it live time as it was playing out, right? So I guess one thing I can explain here on how to use this. So essentially, you just want to go down here to the like just where you type. If you just put HE, I mean, you can spell out the whole thing, but if you just put HE already, heat map will show up as top option. Once you click that, you just put whatever ticker you wanted to look at. So, for example, let's say I want to look at Tesla this morning, right? So you type in whatever ticker it may be. Actually, yeah, I'll make two comments. If you just type in the ticker after heat map and press enter, it'll just show you the current heat maps, right? So this is Tesla right at market close, as you see down here at 3:59, and these are Eastern time. They're in line with New York session. So if you just press enter, it'll show you, it'll spit back out the market close heat map for Gamma, uh, always first, and then Vanna second, right? So that'll help you just assess the current situation. Um, and I believe when they open up free access to these channels, to this channel on Tuesdays, I think it is, I believe everyone that has it free has to use this way, right? So for, I guess if this gets viewed by anyone that's not in any of these roles and is just in the server for the free Tuesdays, um, yeah, you'll want to know how to use this bot. Otherwise, you won't be able to sort of pull any of the maps for the individual tickers. Okay, so yeah, like I said, if you just put in HE tab and press Tesla and enter, you'll see both maps in the current time. If you want to take a look at any specific time, what you can do is you press tab after putting in the ticker name, and then you can just select date time. And then here, all you have to do is follow this format listed above. Uh, I can't I can't highlight it, but I'm circling it with the cursor. So it's just year, month. So yeah, let's say we wanted to check what Tesla looked like yesterday, right? So it's year, month, date, or sorry, yeah, year, month, and date, day, and then afterwards you can just put the time. So yeah, for example, say I wanted to check at 1 p.m. Yeah, another comment I'll make is this is all on military time. So just make sure you're inputting the right time, accounting for any time zone differences. Or if you're just on East Coast and not used to military time, just make sure you're inputting in military time. So in any case, um, yeah, you put year, month, date, and then whatever time of day you wanted to look at it, and press enter. And what this will give you back out is um, same as before, like it'll give you the gex and vex. The only thing here is it'll be specific to whatever time you requested, right? So I put in here yesterday at 1 p.m. If you look down here at the bottom, it's pulling at 12:59 basically. Okay, so 1 minute off, but essentially that's what you would have wanted to see. Um, if you're just looking back and trying to back test, if Tesla bounced, for example, and you say, okay, like, was that a bounce that was possible to find given on heat maps, or was that a move that perhaps happened without being super obvious or without being like an A setup on the heat map? So the last thing you can do here, which honestly I never do because it's pretty redundant, you can press type and then select it in between Gex or Vex, so Gamma being Gex and Vanna being Vex. There's not much point in doing this because, even if afterwards you then go in and type in whatever date and time you want to look at, this ends up just being redundant. Like if you do what I did before and don't specify the map, it'll just give you both maps. So honestly, I would never even select if you're doing Gamma or Vanna. Just put in the date and time and it'll give you both. It'll just give you both maps. So it's just you save a bit of time and you know, obviously if you're just pulling one map, it's not a big deal, but like there's times I go in here and I pull 20 maps, 30 maps, right? Like I pull index maps every 15 minutes for the day. So if you're doing so many commands repetitively, yeah, I would not recommend, any keystroke saved is a bit of extra time. Okay, so that'll be one major thing is using this bot. It's really good if you're backtesting or just want to see if there's anything you missed, etc. Let me see. Apart from that, on the Discord, I would say other channels of note, you'll want to always be looking within the insights channel and the intraday analysis. So, so actually, unluckily, if anyone joined today or yesterday, Glitch has been pretty absent. He's spending some family time for his, think he's on his anniversary, so these channels have been a bit less populated. But this Insights channel occasionally will have messages from either Jewel or John or Glitch, right? And then this intraday analysis also has channels from a combination of Glitch. Actually, this might just only be Glitch. Okay, yeah. So this channel's only Glitch. So it's either he himself, or now that he's been trying to develop this Agent Zero, which is, from my understanding, it's sort of an artificial intelligence that he's sort of coded to look through some of these maps and some of the indexes and just to give general advice, at several updates throughout the day. So again, I think once he's back, this will be active once again. And yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So these two channels, absolutely, I would probably keep an eye on it because Glitch is usually giving some advice on general market direction. He's usually focused on indexes, so I would, again, but indexes drive the market, so I would just be, if he's saying we're pretty limited on upside or there's potential downside, I would just take the advice, and just make sure, if he's saying we're biased downwards and you're about to enter 10 call plays, maybe, rethink that, size smaller, or just take only a couple of them, etc. Okay, another channel I'll highlight is this Swing Ideas. So we've honestly, like, probably not done as good of a job as we should, but I've taken it sort of as an action for myself to post more often in this channel. So essentially, I believe only people protege or some of the analysts can post in here, but usually it will be either Loon, Jewel, or myself, or CGG, or Dr. Eugene. So there's a few of us that post the majority of the content here. So, but as you can see, it's really just people sharing their thoughts on any charts with the maps, and just giving sort of like an informal watch list. So I think this channel should be viewable by everybody. It's just not everybody's allowed to write in it. So yeah, like in the past, I've sent plenty of setups here. So I'll try to do that a bit more often. I'll be honest, recently I haven't had very much time to be scanning all the tickers like I used to. Okay, so I believe on the Discord side, that's probably everything. I mean, of course, yeah, always keep an eye on announcements. Usually, um, if Glitch is doing any announcements for, just general server updates, they come in through here. If John, Jewel, or I are gonna do a live stream, they usually come in through here. We'll send a message here. So this is just, yeah, I don't know why you would mute this. And then, yeah, so that might be everything on the Discord side. Let me think. Oh, last thing. So, actually, no, I'll go get to that later. The last thing is if you are, so I guess it's anyone over quant. So if you're either a quant, um, pro or protege, you want to DM Glitch. So if you private message Glitch, he'll give you access to this website. So this Skylit AI is where most people look at heat maps throughout the day, and that's because these channels that provide the updates, they basically, it's like every 15 seconds they send out a chart, and that's not because the tool itself is limited to sending every 15 seconds. I believe it's actually Discord that doesn't allow the bot to send messages any more frequently. So that's sort of a limitation that Discord has. But if you are checking on the website itself, there's that limitation does not exist. So these maps will just auto update. If I leave this running throughout the day, you'll see the nodes just move around and they'll be shifting, and all these values will be changing as the day goes on. So again, if you just joined, Glitch is not in town right now, but if you just message him, he'll probably get to it Sunday or Monday and give you access to this website. So this is really huge. It's a huge plus just because it's a bit easier to, one, it updates live in real time, and then two, for individual tickers, which are not in a, they don't have their own dedicated channel. So the other option would be you'd have to come in here and sort of pull these maps. The benefit of the website being is you can really just, you can either search uh, through keyboard shortcuts or through just, you can click through, and you'll be able to see both the gex and the vex. So there's a few keyboard shortcuts. I think, yeah, if you do backsplash, not backsplash, sorry, backslash, is it forward slash? I don't know which one's which, but if you just do the slash, that's by the shift. You can just type in any ticker, right? So if I want to look at, I don't know, Lululemon, that's just like, I guess Glitch put in a lot of keyboard shortcuts just to make that a bit quicker. And same thing, to swap between gex and vex, you can just press Control V, Control G. I don't know the actual buttons on Mac, on Apple computers or devices, so, but I'd imagine they're the same, just with whatever control button they use for that. Um, okay, yeah, so that might be it for looking through maps and where to access all these maps. The, sorry, I think there's a message here. Yes, on the phone, it should look very good. The only thing I'll warn people on the phone, actually, I'll warn you even for the computer, is when you pull a map through the bot. Let's use this example, right? So if I pull CoreWeave on the bot, when I look at this map, it is the entire range, right? We're seeing from 89 to 280. I mean, obviously there's strikes higher and lower, but this is everything that, basically anything with any kind of volume is shown here. As you see, a lot of these upper nodes are just empty, some of these lower nodes. So this map is giving you the full picture. Now, if we go over here to CoreWeave on the computer, and this is even more true on the phone, you don't see the full picture unless you scroll. So I've seen cases where people pull up maps, don't fully scroll up and down, and they'll not see a node, right? So like if I'm looking at price at 138 where it is right now, I'm not actually seeing this 115 node that exists 2 weeks out. So just, if you're on mobile or if you're on the computer, just always remember to scroll, just do a quick scroll up and down, just to make sure you're seeing the full picture for whatever um, ticker you're looking at, right? So like this highlights my point exactly, right? If you're looking at price here on CoreWeave, you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, we have a bit of downside here, here, but nothing crazy. And then if you scroll down, you see you have these massive nodes. This huge node down here at 115, but you also have some pretty sizable nodes down at 108 and 110. So just always make sure you're scrolling so you're getting the full picture of the heat map for whatever ticker you're looking at. Okay, so that is how you access all of the maps that are within the Discord. That's how you navigate the Discord itself. The last thing I'll say is, or sorry, the last couple things I wanted to go over is resources for once you've joined. I know some of you are likely familiar with the tool, some are not. Whether you are or aren't, I would still recommend going over some of the following resources that I'm going to sort of tell you guys where to find. So the first one being is Glitch's YouTube. So let me pull it up and I can send out the link, or I might leave like the link for all these things in the description of the channel. So okay, so yeah, so here's Glitch's YouTube channel. So basically he has had a few sessions ever since they had not a merger, but like the collaboration with the Owls Discord. He's had quite a few sessions now. This is well over 7, 8 hours of content where he's essentially screen sharing, going over either recaps of the day or just sort of like instructional videos on how to use Heatseeker. So I would highly recommend going through all of these. I think also at the end of each of those videos, he was also opening it up for sort of like open-ended questions. So just a lot of good information there, as well as a lot of good questions asked by people who are also new to the tool. So definitely, I would check this out. Um, we're coming up to a weekend, so if you have the time, just try to watch, try to slowly go through these videos, and that should be a big, should help you out a lot. Okay, so the second resource, okay, I'm giving y'all the resources in order of how important I think they are. So Glitch obviously is the creator of this tool, the one who's been using it the longest. He backtested it for, years before he even released it anywhere publicly. So he is always going to be your number one person you want to listen to, whether it's advice for trading, advice for how to use Heatseeker, etc. If you want to trade in his style, listen to him, right? So he's always going to be the top resource. Now, that being said, there are a few other efforts done by other people on the server that I think should be highlighted. So I think first we can highlight is John Wicks. So he's the other success team member. Um, yeah, and so he created this PDF, which is essentially all of the basics you would need to, from when the time you join the server and to sort of go through and set up and learn how the heat maps work. He goes through a lot of examples of, what it is, how to interpret it, and not only that, he also puts a lot of advice on, and he found a lot of very good case studies of, um, good trades taken with Heatseeker, things to watch for, things to watch out for on the good and bad side, both on the charts and on the maps. So I would highly recommend, um, if you haven't yet, going through a lot of this document. Like this document, I know took him a while to put together, and it's very well made. And I know he's working on making sort of secondary documents, just sort of with more case studies, more examples of trades, etc. But definitely, I would read through this document. It's obviously, with it being a PDF, it's a bit quicker to go through this than to watch, 8 hours of YouTube. I realize not everyone has the time for that. So this might be sort of a more quicker, condensed way to sort of get all of that information, and be well aware of it. Okay, so those are top two resources. I would say the last one is likely my channel. And I will say my channel is less of tutorials and it's more just of practical usage. And I go over, so I have a few videos just doing recaps. I've been trying to make more of these. It's pretty difficult to find the time. One second.
Yeah, to the endocrinologist. I need to call tomorrow and schedule a
Oh, okay.
Uh, sorry, sorry, had to mute them. Yeah, so I have a couple videos just going over quick recaps. These are honestly just like 1.5, 2 minute things, just giving good examples of trades. What I would prioritize over that, that's probably a bit more beneficial for newer members, is on Mondays and Wednesdays. I do charting sessions, and those are either live here on Discord or on YouTube. So I know some people don't like Discord as a platform, or they just find it difficult to manage. So I've recently been streaming sort of to both simultaneously. So as well as whenever I stream on YouTube, you can then access the replay. So I know some people, either due to time zone or if they're asleep already, then some of these charting sessions I'll do at night. They can just watch them in the morning if they want, or just flick through them and see, um, if they see anything they like. So these have been pretty informal lately. I'll see if with time I might be able to structure them a bit better, so I can do those charting sessions live stream, but then also put timestamps of what I was talking about at each phase. Because yeah, currently, I mean, this is a 2 hour video and it's pretty difficult to sort through what is happening or not. So I'll see how I can help structure these videos to be a bit easier to look at. Um, if you just want to look at, top highlights or like the best potential trades people are looking at the day before. Um, yeah, and yeah, long term, I do want to also put some videos similar to this, where just sort of instructional videos of how to use the heat maps, etc. Some of that information that John has in this user guide, I want to essentially make YouTube content. I know some people just learn better visually or auditory, so if they just want to hear it, or see it on screen. It may help some people versus I know some people don't learn too well from reading, right? So I'm gonna do my best to get some content like that going in the next couple months, and hopefully having this information in various different mediums, um, will help. You know, everyone approaches this differently and learns differently, so hopefully it will just help everyone for their style of learning have something accessible there. Um, Let me think here. Yeah, so honestly, those are probably the three top resources. And again, like if you have time, I would always highly, highly bias towards watching Glitch's videos. After that, you can go through John's PDF because those both of those resources are truly teaching you how to use this tool. My charting sessions are honestly more just I'm sharing my thoughts based on setups that people are asking for. So it's not always so much educational, but it's more of a practical, like practical examples because you can see day to day how, I'm viewing it. There's many people in there, so they'll also share their thoughts on how they're viewing it. Sometimes Jewel will join and share his watch list, but so those are a bit more, maybe a bit further down the line after you've gone through the PDF, gone through some of the videos, and have a better understanding. Then those charting sessions bring a lot more value. But yeah, definitely those first two resources, absolutely, I recommend everyone goes through, and then that third resource is a bit more optional. Um, yes, and that guide. I don't know if this is published anywhere you can access. I don't know if it's pinned. I'll double check on this, but that should be pinned somewhere, and I'll let y'all know where you can find that. Okay, so in that case, I think that's everything that I would say you absolutely want to know, where all of those different things are, and please take advantage of it as best you can. The last thing I'll say is as the server has grown, um, if you do have questions, reach out to either Glitch, John, myself, Jewel, or just anyone else that you see in the chat that is, having good success. For example, on the future side, you can talk to Winners or Guan Yu. There's many very experienced people that you can reach out to. So please, if you have any doubts, um, like do not hesitate to contact anybody in the server, and especially do not hesitate to contact John or myself, because part of our role, within the server is to just make sure everyone who is coming in, um, is or has the time dedicated to them for learning the tool, and we're trying to avoid a lot of these early on mistakes that occur while you're still learning and getting comfortable with using this tool, right? So our goal is always for people to have the quickest, um, time until they're comfortable with the tool, because the goal is once you're comfortable that you will be able to, you know do your trading a bit more autonomously, and sort of find these setups yourself and go through and have the knowledge to take good entries, but also manage your positions, etc. So John and I are really just we're trying to cut down a lot of the mistakes that we see and just make sure people are able to maximize their growth, and maximize the value they're getting from this server. So, and I think John has a set schedule for one-on-ones. If you ever want to just spend 30 minutes, talking with him, seeing what have you been struggling with, what has been going well, just get his advice on things. So I would also recommend doing that. I believe that one's also pinned. Let me check. So yeah, that one is also pinned in the announcement section. This Calendly link. So I think basically you sign up there, and I think it'll email you a Zoom link if I remember correctly. I haven't set this up yet just because I don't, it's a bit trickier for me to have a set schedule. So, um, that doesn't mean I'm not available. Like, if you do want to speak with me, please message me. Just message me privately, and I do my best to get back to everyone fairly quickly. And then for anyone anyone that wants to, I do my best to, hop on a Zoom call for 30 minutes, an hour. I've done longer even. I've done up to an hour and a half, and really just go over what troubles are you having, Is it a heat map issue? Is it a sizing issue? Is it a psychology issue? Whatever the issue may be, please don't hesitate to ask either John or myself. Because yeah, I realize it can be a bit scary or a bit nerve wracking sometimes to ask for help, whether it's in the server or individually. But please, like, it's for y'all's sake. Um, that it's the sooner you see any kind of problem or doubt in your mind, immediately go and just start asking questions. Whether it's to everybody or whether it's to people one on one, just start asking. The more questions you ask, the quicker um, you'll learn, and the quicker you'll shift towards taking you know better trades for yourself. So long term, that's always the goal, right? Is we want to see everybody who joins have the shortest route possible towards being comfortable and consistent with the tool and their trading. Okay, so I think that's mostly everything I wanted to go over. I can just leave it open um, to any questions you guys have in the chat of this Discord, or you can just unmute and ask me over voice if you want. And yeah, I'll just answer questions for a bit if there's any. If not, I'll probably end the recording here, and then so I can publish to YouTube for anybody that wants to watch this, for anybody that missed it and wants to watch it in the future. Albatross. So how does one use Vex and Gex simultaneously? Do you mean when you're pulling the maps off the Discord, or do you mean in your trading? Okay. Yeah, so I'm not going to go super in depth into all the trading stuff. Like I don't this was not meant to be a charting session just because I'm tired, I'll be honest. And I have a bit of work I need to do for my actual job, but yeah, I can give a bit of an example here. So basically what we say when basically most good setups will have Gex and Vex that align. They align or they're in sync with each other. Now, what do I mean by in sync? So for example, right now, if you're looking at these two maps I have pulled up, this is Rigetti Gex on the left and the Vex on the right. And we're seeing a lot of the nodes that have high volume on the Gex. So this 33, this 29, and then next week this 37 and this 32. They also have significant volume on the Vex, right? So this 33, 29, 32, and 37. So it's the same nodes that have very high volume on both maps. So this would be a case of the maps align, which means if we approach one of these floors or one of these ceilings, it's a strong level on both maps, which just shows in general for the ticker, it's just a much stronger level. So typically you want to be looking for setups that do align, just because I've seen, I guess in my experience, those have been the ones with the highest success rates. Again, there's cases where one map looks better than the other and it still works, but there's also cases that it doesn't, right? So I would just recommend if you're starting out, do your best to look for cases that the Gex and Vex are pretty in sync with each other. Um, Now, the only caveat I'll put for that is that is advice for individual tickers. Um, for for indexes, it's a bit different. The Gex and Vex fluctuate a lot more just because they're zero DT contracts, whereas individual tickers have weekly contracts, so they're usually more in line with each other. Whereas if you check Gex and Vex, for example, at 11 a.m., they tend to use they typically look quite different. So hopefully that answered your question, Albatross. Okay, perfect. Anybody else with any questions? And again, the if you don't have a question now, but something comes up in your mind 20 minutes later or tomorrow or 2 days from now, just message in the chat and tag me or just private message me and I'll do my best to answer. So unless there's any other questions, I'll probably end this. I'll just end this one for today. Okay, I'll assume no questions. So yeah, firstly, thanks everyone for joining. hopefully it helped. And again, if there's any questions, immediately reach out. And yeah, just actually, yeah, for anyone that did join, if you see any value in me trying to make sort of a YouTube video similar to this, just let me know because I've been considering it. I just don't know if it's easier to make a YouTube video and send that to everybody that joins or to just have, one session like this every week or every 2 weeks for everybody that joins periodically. So just message me if having it sort of open ended on live stream is better, or if you would have preferred to just watch a 10-minute video, 15-minute video going over these same things. So yeah, I think that should cover everything. So thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, have a good night.